everyone. This is Mike.
And Nicole.
And this is the Mental Notes Podcast.
Episode 3.
Genesis Sessions. Oh, yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
This is the last one.
We can't afford the special effects.
Boom, 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 boom. That's good. I'm going to sample that.
Next time, once we get sponsors and, when we're in the big time, we'll get those special effects.
When we make it big.
Yeah, exactly. Which is only a matter of time because I see it. I feel it. I feel the energy. And you, as a listener, which Mike hates every time I say the listener, and I love saying it just to annoy him, you're
She's
following
smiling.
us. Yeah, I'm smiling so big. You're following along on our journey, which is wonderful because it's fun. It's fun. We are learning what to do. We are learning how to do all this stuff together, and we're on a journey.
Know, yeah. As much as we do know, we're realizing that we don't know everything, and that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not afraid to screw it up.
Yeah. You got to fall in love with not knowing.
So it's been 3 months.
It's been 3 months. We've been to 2 seminars, right? For Kyle Cease. It's been a couple months since we've met each other.
Yep.
And we've been 3. Oh, yeah, you just said that. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm not tired. I'm not on NyQuil at all or DayQuil.
At all.
See, I don't even know where I am.
You're in Studio City.
Oh, in the Magic Closet studio. I'm so excited. Dennis Reith has been so gracious in letting us use his space.
Right. Yeah, it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So, Nicole.
Yeah.
Let me pose a question to you.
Oh, God.
How are you feeling?
You're pulling such a Nicole right now.
Yeah, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a dramatic change since the last episode that we recorded this. A lot has changed in my life.
It's been crazy.
Yes.
Good and not so easy.
Yeah. It hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been great, if that makes sense. So for those who don't know, my mom passed away from terminal cancer the day before Thanksgiving, aka the other day that I broke up with my ex-husband. So that day is burned in history. But we knew it was going to happen, but I thought I was going to fall apart. I really, I don't have the greatest relationship with my mom, and I thought I really needed her to say I'm sorry for being a crappy mom. And it was interesting in those moments when someone is on their deathbed, you don't feel the need, at least I didn't feel the need to stick it to them and just say like, hey, you did this to me, you need to apologize. All I was this space for love, for compassion, for empathy and strength. And she was scared, and she knew things were not going as well as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
And for all intents and purposes, she should have lived longer, but she didn't take care of herself, and she refused to go to the hospital for a couple of days. Talk about an exercise of letting it go when your mother has jaundice and, is emaciated and has terrible blood pressure and refuses to go to the hospital. Talk about doing your work. So I've definitely had a lot of obstacles, but
you've grown.
Through that, I've totally grown. I feel like a completely different person than a couple months ago. And all these principles and all these things I've been working on really got put into practice.
Yes.
So I didn't need that. I didn't need that. I'm sorry. I didn't need that. I still would have accepted it. Let's
of course, yeah.
But I was just a space of love and empathy, and I felt so much energy. The day after on Thanksgiving, it's probably one of the best Thanksgivings I've ever had because I was just filled with so much love and joy, and I could feel it on a global scale. And I know that sounds weird, but I felt the energy from the entire world. I know that's woo-woo, but I just was filled with light.
Well, it's interesting what the growth and the work that you've done, I can see it. I can see it firsthand, how it benefits you.
Yeah.
And so I'm really happy that you're able to just be in that place and accept it. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Very happy for you.
Yeah. So that's my big news. What have you been up to?
It's been interesting for myself as well. Things are really great. I'm feeling really good. I'm dealing with some spinal injury issues and emotional stuff as well. And it's been really enlightening to be able to kind of dive into that stuff head first. I have a lot of stuff that's going on with business, which is amazing. It's so awesome. And I've noticed that this time of year, especially, we're in December, right? Creeping up on Christmas. And this month is
the loneliest time of the year.
And it's no shit. It's my big time where I just go into hermit crab mode.
I'm not going to let you.
and I'm not even thriving for that. I'm not feeling like I need to do it, which is huge for me.
Yes.
So I am,
Your abundance, your joy, you're bringing home the bacon in your business, man.
yeah, it's good. It's encouraging. It's wonderful. And at the same time, I feel like there's those old things trying to creep their way out, the thought patterns.
I should be doing this.
I should be feeling this way. And maybe if I worry about this, and it's really, I'm noticing it so fast now. So, without droning on about that,
No,
because
but you're the observer versus being totally controlled by the emotion, and that's huge. You're doing your work.
yeah, doing the work, and that doesn't mean I'm having an easy time at it.
Yeah.
But thank you for pushing me along a bit and getting
You're doing it with grace.
out of the shell. Yeah, I'm trying. It's hard when you strain your back.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm feeling really good, and my personal relationships are really good, and family stuff, while it's still, challenging at times, it's going great.
It's crazy how similar our moms are.
Yeah.
Like I've never met anybody, we don't really have to get into it, but just, from heart to heart, never met anybody who really understood, like
Yeah,
what
it's been
it's like to have
crazy.
a mom that's not that great. And I love my mom and I'll always love my mom and we talked every week,
Yeah.
but you also have to just realize they're not dealing with a full deck of cards
Mm,
and they're not in the same world of reality. And
yeah.
which took me so long to realize
Yeah.
that it's just I try to over intellectualize maybe if I do this and this thing and that thing
Sure.
and if I these chemicals and this stuff and this but and just
But
put it all in place,
but at the
then it
end
will
of the
work.
day,
Then she'll just be like, ah,
yeah,
and go the opposite direction.
but it
There is
doesn't.
no figuring it
No, it
out.
doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And I've come to that conclusion. You have, and
At
it's
least intellectually.
intellectually, and we, there's something there searching for that acceptance and that love, and we were provided love, their brand of
Hmm.
love, and I've taken a lot of great things away from my relationship with my mom. So I think I'd rather look at that.
Yeah.
And at this point in life, just be, like you said, being the space
Yeah.
is probably the healthiest route. So I have adopted that and I'm doing it. And like anything else, like I already said, not easy, but worth it.
Absolutely. Well, we both are seeing the same chiropractor, and he told
Yeah.
me, how to deal with that because, it's been a month since I've seen him. And he said to remember the good times.
Yes.
When you focus on, she wasn't there for my birthday, she missed all my graduations, all the stuff that can sit and that can fester
Right.
and that can't be resolved anymore. She's gone.
Right.
So remember the gifts that she gave you. And I'm a very spirited person. I'm definitely a little anti authority and, kind of a wild Mustang sometimes. But, I have this, in my opinion, kind of irreverent and morbid sense of humor that I got from her. And there's a lot of gifts. And when I have a child, I know what not to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have the opposite, playbook.
Something that we talked about in the car on the way here was breaking the cycle
Yeah.
and taking from that experience and being able to apply what you just said in a healthy way, to be
Mm.
able to do those things. I think, yeah, that's all. I'm just smiling. That's such a cool revelation.
Yeah. And through this, I'm reconnecting with music.
Hell yeah.
Because it's been a while since I've had my heart broken. I haven't been in a relationship in a while and things have been fairly stable. Annoying, but stable,
Right?
But when you go through a really dark time, I always reach out to music. I take it for granted when I'm happy, but I've just been listening to radio to a lot of nostalgic songs, a lot of stuff that has like brought me back to where I was as a younger kid.
Right.
And I know music has played a really huge role in your life. And,
Yeah. I mean, we haven't talked about it in this way. And I think that's like the stamp for this conversation we're having now is it totally the same thing as you, same for me. It's helped me through all these emotional times, but it was also my world at times. It was my escape
yes,
from the misunderstanding I was having in life.
the song gets me. My
The,
parents don't, my friends don't, but this song,
the
this is
song,
me.
it knows what I'm going through. Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is amazing. And through that, I was, just pulled in by drums and bass and song meanings. And I became very early on into the liner notes. I wanted to learn about the lyrics. I wanted to know the lyrics. The artwork was so important. But main thing was just getting wrapped up in a song. For me, it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
I have my emotions are tied. Like if I'm feeling away, I know what I'm going to play.
Oh.
So I tune my listening habits to where I'm at, mentally perhaps, or how I feel physically. So when
You know what I do is I do it to the weather. So I definitely have a
yeah.
rainy day mix.
Yes.
There's just a certain kind of coffee shop, singer-songwriter, melodic, genre that I love to listen to when it's raining,
Yeah.
which doesn't happen very
No, I'm
often.
the same way as you
Yeah.
with that. I definitely have the mood setting music.
Yeah.
That's the different maybe another component to that is setting the mood. Which if I'm at chilling out, the
The
chill
chill step.
mixes,
Yeah.
that chill step
You
mixes.
could turn me on to chill step.
Oh, it's really cool to get into that down tempo, really chill. It's got these components that I love that
Keeps your brain activated and like moving forward, but
but it's also
just
beautiful.
yeah.
And there's something about it. So yeah, I love that stuff. So like I'm gonna ask you another question is
Yeah,
so
sure.
when you were younger, what was like the first memory of something that you can attach your memory to, that a poignant moment? Like, do you have songs or records that are
Oh.
attached to that?
So I was born in '86, so we didn't have records in my household. We had CDs. My dad was a part of that like Columbia house where
Sure.
you
I remember all that.
$99 you get 500 CDs or whatever.
I was scammed by them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But he bought me a couple of CDs, that so he first introduced me to music, and I was that kid listening to the radio late at night and calling in and trying to win. And of course I went into radio and became a
Nice.
DJ, because of that. But it's kind of interesting. I think everyone has this point where they grew up on their parents' music,
Yeah.
and then there is a song or an album and they're like, no, this is my music.
Yep.
Like, this is what I like. This is different.
Yeah.
So I grew up, I think I had a really good education, a lot of blues, John Lee Hooker, and then also, CCR, Simon and Garfunkel, Tom Petty, all that kind of stuff. I really enjoyed, those songs like a Rock,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
Like an Island we were singing the other day, from Simon and Garfunkel,
Uh-huh.
or, Bridge Over Troubled Water. I really enjoyed that. But I actually, as a music video, that it stopped me in my tracks. And I can't remember how old I was. I was a young teen, like 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there. It's TLC's Waterfalls.
Bro.
That song,
Yes.
I was just like, awakened me. And I was like, this is the best song in the world. Number one, there's rapping.
Prince.
Yeah, there's rapping. This is cool. And number two, these ladies are awesome. And I love the whole style of it. And I love that it just talked about going through that journey. Of course,
Yeah.
the one song is like, woo woo back then, just, don't go chasing waterfalls. And I was like, oh, I have my own style of music.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from there, it went to, I was 14, 15, 16. So, posters on the wall,
Sure, yeah.
boy bands and, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So it just got crappy for a while.
Hey.
But, I loved all of it,
Yeah.
that heartthrob.
There's a place for all of it.
Yeah, totally. And you go back and you listen to the music that you loved, as a
Right.
12-year-old girl, and you're like, oh God, this is such crap.
Oh, God.
But TLC is
But-
still
but you
is still
still
great.
nod your
No
head right
scrubs.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
I still get to. We were in the grocery store the
Yeah.
other day, and Bye from
And
NSYNC.
you actually did
I
the
did
dance.
the dance
Yeah, you
in
did
the
it.
middle, like right in front of the spaghetti sauce.
Not even afraid to
So,
do it.
No,
You just
I
busted
am
it
a
out.
total dork. So kind of same question for you. What music did you grow up with, and then when did you decide this is my music?
Yeah, okay. So you've heard this a lot, and I don't know if I've mentioned it on our recordings yet. I know I have, maybe, but
I love how in your head you
yeah,
are about that.
I-
That was great. That was
okay.
a great intro.
yeah, I gotta stop that. See, we're working it out even while
I
we're
know.
tracking this. So it was all about stuff like Elton John, Billy Joel, Jim Croce,
Yeah.
Sergio Mendes, Brazil 66, a lot of jazz stuff, which my mom had some pretty eclectic tastes in that regard. There wasn't a lot of like the classic rock stuff, like the CCR, but I heard all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Chicago, great music. And, it was just there. It was in the car rides home from my grandma's house to my house at night. Those songs I can remember Chicago playing and just being like kind of asleep but not fully
It's still soaking in.
and it's just soaking in and just those moments. I can remember them vividly. I can remember the feel of the seat because of that song.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. So eventually my thing, because I have an older sister, so it kind of started off with Michael Jackson. That was big for
Wait,
me.
wait, wait, wait. What is your favorite MJ song?
There's a lot. I mean, I'm not like, I wouldn't
You don't have
categorize my.
one?
I,
I
I
have one.
I have a few, but
Oh
I
my
would say
God.
at that time it was Human Nature and Beat It. Those were
Ah.
like really cool songs to me. I really loved them.
Mine
And
is PYT.
yes, and that I had the
Yes.
45 of PYT.
Wow.
Yeah. And so Michael Jackson, Prince was there,
Duh.
Little Red Corvette,
Yeah.
that was really important. My sister was really into hair bands and the new wave stuff, which I really
Like
liked,
Flock of Seagulls?
Flock of Seagulls, Men at Work,
Oh, yeah.
all that
Safety
80s.
Dance.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. So, but when it was mine, when I had ownership of it, it was kind of some of that stuff, but I told you my first buy was Huey Lewis in the News way back. I was super young, but I
Yeah.
loved that. I loved Huey Lewis. And then it kind of got into a place I remember maybe during going into like junior high, it was Run DMC and the Beastie Boys,
Good calls.
License to Ill and just that
No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Peter Piper and stuff with Run DMC. So it was really influenced by my peers at that point. But I was just digging it.
Yeah.
I was
What
loving it.
about Aerosmith and Run DMC, all that
Yeah,
stuff?
Walk This Way, and that was what was on MTV.
Mhm.
And beyond that, it was then stepping into like that later, like junior high stuff. I was a skateboarder,
Yeah.
and I got really into. You're gonna laugh,
I
and not a
am.
lot of people know this about me, but
Avril Lavigne?
I have a huge hip hop background,
Oh.
and I was into Public Enemy,
Yeah.
De La Soul, A Tribe
Yes.
Called Quest.
Yes.
And these things really painted that time in my life. And that's when Gang Starr, which was the Guru, and DJ Premier,
Love
and I
it.
got really into turntablism. And that's what made me want to DJ and start eventually producing music, was that. It wasn't guitar and drums and bass in a room with other people, which I did.
Yeah.
But it was the DJ and the MC.
The art of it.
Yeah, I'm a huge hip hop head, and it's classic, like old school. I would say golden era.
Ooh.
That's the term. People who know will acknowledge that. But it was just what we did. A lot of skaters at that time,
Mm-hmm.
in the late '80s, early '90s, didn't do hip hop. It was all about Bad Brains and,
Yeah.
and suicidal tendencies.
But you did get into punk
But
rock.
I was into that.
Yeah.
And Bad Religion and No Effects, they really held a certain time in my life, but it was a little later. I didn't put that stuff in. It was all about that hip hop for some reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got really in, Big Daddy Kane, Kwame. I mean, I could go on about this stuff, and Blue Note Breaks. I really got into like digging into the classics that were getting sampled. Like the Dust Brothers produced Beastie Boys music, and they used extensive sampling, which later when I went into recording school, they actually came and talked to my class, and they talked about how they made Paul's Boutique. And so this was like, I loved it. It was amazing. So that era, that early era, was kind of a mix of the 80s
You
cool.
sound so much cooler than me. I'm like, I'm into Backstreet Boys and,
Yeah.
yeah.
I scraped money together in the 90s, early 90s, and bought a used Technics 1200 turned one. And I got a mixer for my birthday because I
Cool.
bugged the hell out of my mom. And it was hard for me to get things
Yeah.
I wanted. And I got a mixer. It was a Pyramid.
You must have freaked out. That's like me getting the Super Nintendo. I was just like, yeah.
It would be like me now getting that iMac Pro that I want.
Yeah.
It was that.
Wow.
And then I got the Techniques, and then I was like learning.
I guess my now, if someone gave me a miniature pony, then I would
you would
flip
be,
out.
Yeah.
Name it Smarkle.
You're going to do that. I have a
Sparkle
feeling.
Pony, come on.
Yeah. So what about like
And I'm going to dye its hair, and it's going to be like a unicorn. It's going to be white.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And you'll just, okay, we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Because we could keep going.
I know, for sure. But that's awesome. You have such a different relationship with music. Because
Totally.
mine was more music videos and songs on the radio.
Hmm.
And you are deep cuts, you are albums, you know everything about every song, and you go
Almost,
deep
yeah.
into the genre, and I'm very surface level, but I have a lot of breadth, like,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
all over it. But I did really like, in radio it's called AAA, but
Yeah.
singer-songwriter and Goo Goo Dolls and Sheryl Crow, and I would really, I mean, I feel like for most women in the 90s, Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little
Of
Pill,
course. That's
it's
such
like
a period in
yeah,
time right
just
there.
coming of age, where I remember the first time. It's such a weird coincidence, like where I heard that album. I was left alone in a house. Like I was, my dad had to go away for the weekend and left me with someone from church. And then they didn't really realize that they were babysitting me. So they left for the entire day. And I was
Oh,
like
wow.
12 or 13
Home
or something.
alone.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just in some random lady's house. And I like, this is kind of before internet and,
Sure.
so there just was nothing to do and daytime TV did not interest me. So I had 8 hours. And so I just got into her daughters who I didn't know at the time because she was at school.
Right.
I don't know why was
Yeah.
she, I don't know. But I was alone in this house and I found Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill.
That's why you were there.
And I listened to the whole thing, and by the end of the 8 hours, I knew every word to every song.
That's
And I'm like
crazy.
jamming out and singing. And I just remembered I went online and printed out the lyrics. So I did. So there was internet,
It was
but it's just
early
early
time
stuff.
right there.
And printed
Sure.
out the lyrics so then I could like practice at home.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
So
That period of time for me was like that Pearl Jam,
yeah.
Nirvana, Fuel, Live.
Mm-hmm. I love all
There's
that
so
stuff.
special Candlebox.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many songs like Candlebox, that one hit of theirs. Far Behind, I think it's called. Yeah, Far Behind. That song is like a certain relationship.
Yeah.
I know that song is a relationship. And Jim Croce during that time, during that period with the Candlebox and Pearl Jam and all that, was still there with me.
Yeah.
And I'm buying those CDs. And Sade is
I know
one that
it's like your goddess.
I love Sade. And I was fortunate enough to get tickets to see her in Anaheim when she came out during Lovers Rock Tour. And they filmed the whole thing that they put out.
Were you crying the whole time?
I was just like, I was there with a girlfriend, and felt like I was there alone.
Just you and
It
Sade.
was just me and Sade and her awesome band and backup singers.
Future wife. Yeah.
Oh, she's just amazing. Gorgeous, beautiful voice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could listen to her stuff anytime. But that rock, and that's when I really started, like, guitar started taking over for me. And it was this balance of like that grunge, Nirvana, and then slowly started tapering into more punk rock, which, I have these
Wow.
very, very different
Yeah.
ends of the spectrum, and the
Sade
hip hop
to
never
Bad
left.
Brains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, it was like Bad Religion,
No effects.
No Effects, No Use for a Name, which was a big band that I loved, Lagwagon, stuff like Henry Rollins, the
Really?
Rollins band. So, yeah, I mean, there's other stuff. I'm not really like a Clash guy and all this. Like,
What? I love the
I
Clash.
like some of the Clash. I'm not saying I don't like it. It's
But
just
again,
that,
radio friendly pop, like,
yeah,
leaning.
yeah. And I didn't really get into like the Misfits too much. I mean, I know the Misfits. I like some of the stuff. It's just, for me, it went a different route. And for everyone I was around, those were like, everyone just wore the chip. And I'm like, that's not me.
Yeah.
So I was being punk rock.
Yeah, exactly. I have one specific memory of a song that changed my life, and that's One by U2. And I wasn't expecting to have this moment. I wasn't expecting, but I was in a point in my life, I was 24, and I was just driving along in Reno, Nevada, and the song came on, and I just started weeping. And it was on the radio from the beginning to end. I'm listening to the lyrics, and I realized my marriage is over.
Mm.
And, it was a time in my life where my at that time husband was reading, the books like The Art of War and, just very aggressive and and I'm learning more about spirituality and love and community. And we're just so polar opposite.
Right.
And this song just beautifully says that. And I just started crying. And anytime I hear that song, I kind of get emotional. Not that I want that relationship again, but just that deep sense of knowing without all denial that this is over.
Yeah.
And U2 helped me realize
That song pulled it out.
Yeah.
Or it helped facilitate
Exactly.
you coming to a place
Coming
where
to
you
terms.
could accept it. That's pretty powerful. I have a couple things like that. But, while you're talking about it, there was a pretty poignant point
A poignant point?
in life. Yes.
Put that on your LinkedIn profile.
Poignant points.
I make poignant points.
But, like Portishead, who I'm a mega fan. I love Portishead. And I had a cassette tape of Dummy, which was like their breakout in the state, so that's how far back it goes. But that introduced me to a lot more of the trip hop music at that time, Massive Attack. And I kept that kind of as an undercurrent. It was my way of unplugging and chilling out at night. So it was like this. But I started finding meaning again. I get very attracted to specific types of melodies and things. And it's all about that emotion. And when I know the lyric and a certain, like, I can hear right away, I'm going to love that voice, or I'm like, I don't really, it doesn't hit me the right way. So I move on. Portishead, all that type of music carried on through that 90s, late 90s. And that early 2000s is when all this crazy stuff was happening into like 2003, 4. And I had a pretty major shift there. And, it was a relationship just fell apart, and I was engaged, and it just completely, everything all at once just went away.
It had to fall away for you to become this awesome person you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. This new path.
Yeah.
But it was.
But at the time, you didn't realize that.
No, it was
like, my life is over.
It was devastating.
Yeah.
And I went in pretty dark places. I didn't want to go on at one point. And I didn't know how I would recover. I got caught up in what am I going to do? And music, it took me a while. I sat in silence. For days. That's very rare. I was alone in silence. And then I remember waking up looking like a bearded, freakazoid,
Banshee.
dirty, and thinking, there's nothing in this place. I'm still in Long Beach by myself. I got to find out what, I'm going to do next. I need food. So I go to the store and I'm
homeless, basically.
Portishead was on in my CD was in my car, and it reminds me of that time. And it's not throwing me back into the horrible feeling, but it was reminding me. So
cathartic.
Yeah, it makes me get a little emotional, perhaps, but it takes me there. And then from then on, it was all about stuff. I don't know. It was like a switch, and I never left any of the other previous music. It's always there, but it was always about the powerful, that empowering stuff that was going to fire me up. That's always something I'm able to pull from music that I really like. And that became a steady theme. So stuff like the Bad Religion, No Use, like that, the punk rock music really started to become part of who I was more.
Yeah.
And I started getting very, very dedicated. I lost a job during that whole breakup as well. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And that massive breakdown pushed me to starting my own business.
It needed to happen.
That was the breakthrough that I needed. So that music was just firing me up. It helped me push through, not give a damn, even though I was feeling completely helpless.
It provided a barrier. So, because you were a shell of a human at that time.
Absolutely.
And not in a mean way, but just, we've all been there. We're just like fetal on the floor.
Yeah.
And this music protected you and said, I got you. I understand you. You can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, come to find out, one of the singers of one of the bands later down the road, no use for a name, Tony Sly, for anyone listening that knows, he committed suicide. But this man, he was a brilliant songwriter, amazing lyrics. He was in pain.
Yeah.
Now that is going through that pain. So beyond that, it was more about meaning and all this. So I carry that now, that there's some special music that I love, modern as much as the old stuff. You know that?
For me, I didn't really appreciate music until I saw it live.
Oh, yeah.
And, I've seen probably 1,000 concerts in my life.
Yeah.
I've been really lucky because I work in the music industry. And I look forward, that's my favorite moment in music, is when it's kind of like the certain kind of buzz you get. Like, you're seeing this band, whether you know them or not, and everyone else vanishes. And it's just you and the band. And you're having that moment where you're just so grateful to be there, and you feel the music, you feel the lights, you feel the energy.
Right.
You can't get that on a CD or a record.
And
it's just body
coming
chills.
up your feet.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I love it.
And because I've seen so many shows, that moment is rare and rare.
Yeah.
But when it does happen, I appreciate it so much more because, concerts are businesses, or it is a business, and I look at it as a business. So anytime I can escape that and take that hat off and just put a fan hat, like
Yeah.
one special moment I just recently had was Stone Temple Pilots at the Troubadour.
Yeah.
I was one of 100 people
Yeah.
that got to see their new lead singer, who is amazing, Jeff Goot.
Mm.
And, it was for a Sirius XM thing. And oh my God, we were front row. And I got to bring my friend Rich Redkin from KRK Speakers. And that is their favorite band. And he's crying. Like, he's just so happy, and seeing his joy and seeing my joy and just seeing how successful I think this band with this new frontman is going to be, and being with all the top fans singing every song.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm getting chills now just thinking about it.
So cool.
It was such an incredible, and I just felt so honored to
Yeah.
be there. When I work in music and I have those experiences, the best way I can describe it is I just feel honored.
Absolutely.
Like,
I
I'm a monk.
totally get it.
I'm just happy to be here,
Happy to, yeah.
and I'm happy to witness it, because I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't go on stage. That's not my thing. I can market it,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
it just is magic to me,
Yeah.
and it's spiritual, and it just encapsulates me, and I
Yeah.
just love it. That's my relationship with music.
Yeah, I would say the live shows for me. I've been to so many Warped Tours since the beginning, and so many small venues, Troubadour, Chain Reaction in Orange County, all over the states actually, during South by Southwest, and those moments, especially from bands that I really liked, not even just new bands, but the bands I really liked. There were some moments in like Austin where it became just disconnected from the world, and it was me and that song, and I was just bliss.
Mm.
And things like during Warped Tour, where this whole camaraderie and community of people. And I'm sorry to see it going. Honestly, I know they've had issues, and I may
Yeah.
not have been attending things for the handful of years now, a few years, but it's a staple, and that brought me to learning about so many new
Yeah.
bands. So that stuff, the live scene and the live music is just something that, I haven't been experiencing it that much again. And
We're going to change that.
yeah, I mean, I love it. And I feel like I need to see that again. So that's something I've been missing.
Yeah.
But I've been learning about all this other new music around the world when I was doing my first radio show online.
Cool. Yeah, that's
So-
really cool. I want to know from the listener, what is your favorite music? What is your connection? What is your relationship? How does music affect you?
Yeah,
Would love
tell
to
us.
hear.
I want to
So
know.
a Facebook message, or tweet us at Mental Notes Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, because that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this podcast, is mental health in the music industry.
Yeah.
And
Something
we
that's
are
going to help you
music
get
nerds.
Yeah, that's going to get you through life, and being able to share. I love being able to share how it helps us.
It's like a warm blanket. That's what music is. When we're sad, when we're fetal, when we're going through our issues, to me, music is a warm blanket that has my back.
Yeah, for me, it's like sometimes it's a kick in the ass too,
Yeah.
or it's a lighting the fire.
Yeah.
Is just the little thing I needed. So I think closing it out here, I just want to congratulate you
Oh.
on making it through 3 months.
Yeah, you too. We did it.
And this is it. This is actually the
I'm
end
so
and a
excited.
beginning.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, and thank you for listening. You
kick-ass person. And thanks for following our journey on social. And we've been getting a lot of comments, a lot of shares, and people are really excited. So we are on the precipice, the penultimate, almost, not penultimate, the pinnacle? I don't know.
Pinnacle. Well,
I'll work on my,
Threshold.
yeah, there you go. I'll work on my dictionary, terms. But we're almost there, and we're so excited you're here with us. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of it, and we really appreciate it.
yes, and thank you so much. And if you're finding that you love what you're hearing, please subscribe. If it's YouTube right now, subscribe. But also find us when we drop that first episode, which is either now it's out,
Yeah.
depending on when you're hearing this,
Yeah.
or in the near future.
Do it.
Please subscribe and let us know. We want to have open dialogue with all of you. We love you. And thanks, Nicole.
And thanks, Mike.
All right. So everyone, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the Mental Notes podcast.